Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is the only game I have ever played that actually ran worse in the official release than it did in the beta. This is very peculiar, as betas, of course, are the preliminary testing phase of a game's multiplayer, and I level capped in this game's multiplayer. I played a lot of it in the beta, that is, and I'm playing Summit Domination here, and boom, I jump on B and immediately pick up a kill as well as the flag. In the beta, this game ran extremely smoothly. I only disconnected one time. I played hours and hours an entire weekend. Like I said, I level capped, which was level 40. Think about that. One disconnect and 40 levels. I have 5 disconnects every play session now. And this is something that is consistent amongst all of my friends. It's not just me. It's something that I've heard streamers mention. The few streamers that I follow in the Call of Duty scene, it's mostly these old heads like XCal. And a lot of these guys have just gone and started playing Blackout. Personally, I'm only really concerned with multiplayer, and that's what I'm talking about here. So it makes absolutely no sense that you would have so many disconnects. If you just take a look at whenever you try to join a game, I would say that 1 out of every 7 times I join a game, it just says game not available or lost connection to, lost connection to host, or one of the standard issues, oh, the game disconnected messages. However, some of my friends will load in the game. If I'm running a 5 stack, sometimes 2 connect, sometimes everyone but me connects, sometimes 3 people connect. In other words, it's not specific to me, but it is incredibly consistent. This is very frustrating because you can join back, which is a pain in the ass because then after the game you have to reform the lobby, but you get a loss. That horse shit where you load into the game and it says, ooh, you couldn't connect. Yeah, you get a loss for that. So that just wrecks your win-loss. And for people who play a lot, or shit, even for people who play a moderate amount, the game has been out for a while, guys. Guess what? If everyone's win-loss is going to be skewed by these disconnect games, then that means that as the weeks go on, people are going to have like hundreds of losses, literally hundreds of losses they don't deserve. Because not only do you get these load-in disconnects, but you get the normal disconnects where the game will just crash. You get game fatal errors, which thankfully that has actually slowed down quite a bit. I don't actually get nearly as many fatal errors as I did. But I didn't get any fatal errors in the beta, and I got a shit ton of fatal errors for about 3 weeks. But I'm glad to see that they seemingly have at least addressed that. As far as gun balance goes, in my opinion, they're tinkering with too much. They're nerfing the LMGs before anyone uses them. They're nerfing the headshot damage of the XM9, I believe it's called. Doesn't make any sense at all. The first submachine gun you unlock. I don't have every single gun name memorized just yet, guys. That doesn't make any sense. What they really need to be focusing on is game continuity, connection stability, and improving the netcode. If you look at a game and you're in a situation where people obviously don't want to be disconnecting, it's going to be like that in every game. People don't want their win-loss record to be skewed, and they don't want to have to manually rejoin. It's going to be like that with every single game. But in Call of Duty specifically, you had a situation where this wasn't happening in the beta. This wasn't a thing. So you screwed something up. It has to be fixed. Another thing I want to address is, as seemingly every patch goes by, the netcode will get worse. People are sort of framing around like a slideshow. They say that they've quote-unquote improved the servers, but I've noticed that recently, whenever I play, there will constantly be people on the enemy team moving around very sporadically, almost as though it's a PowerPoint presentation. And don't come at me and say like, oh yeah, this is theater. Like, I'm aware this is theater. I'm like 6th prestige. I'm speaking from hours of experience. I'm not citing this gameplay as an example of framiness, nor would I ever use a theater mode replay to show examples of connection issues. but I have played an insane amount of Call of Duty over the last 10 years, and I'm aware of what a good connection is in a computer game. And for this game, it ain't it. There's too many disconnects, there's too many shoddy sort of around the, the bullet follows you around the corner type shit, but really the disconnects and the framiness is what needs to be addressed the most. Because frankly, as the game stands right now, it's not even fun to play. It is a hassle just to get your friends in a lobby and be in a situation where you're not constantly having to fucking leave to pick people up because they got dropped. As far as win streaks go, you're not going to get a win streak. You're gonna get maybe you might win 20 games, but you're gonna have 4 disconnects. You're gonna have times where you have to leave soft lobbies or lobbies with good hosts because you are always having to re-pick up your friends who are getting dropped because of the shitty game. It's just not a good situation. As I predicted, people are already complaining about the Spitfire. People are complaining about the core diet. People are going to bitch and complain. That's just the nature of Call of Duty. And I realized the irony of this after I just got done bitching and complaining. But hey, it's completely reasonable for me to bitch about the game being unstable and me having over 100 illegitimate losses on my combat record. It's not really legitimate for people to balance whine about everything under the sun. You should just know, as a Call of Duty player, don't let that bother you. It's just sort of something that's going to happen. Just sort of, I just like to type easy and laugh at it. No matter what gun I'm using, people bitch. Even if you're using some off-kilter goofy shit. I remember back in Black Ops 1, people would even bitch when I used the Olympia. It's like, okay, you do realize this is like a gimmick gun that I'm putting myself at a disadvantage by using, right? Like, a lot of times if you're getting styled on by a really good player, and I'm not saying this is me, but really good players will run these really crappy, sort of purposely bad, unorthodox setups. XCal is famous for this. People will almost get like more upset and be like, oh, that stupid whatever, like that's, like name whatever ridiculous thing, like, oh, that ridiculous thermal scope whatever. People will complain about anything, so don't get bogged down in that. My kill streak setup here, this is my go-to kill streak setup I like to use whenever I'm with more than, I would say, 2 friends of mine, aka a trustworthy team. Counter UAV, Mantis, Thresher. These are the sort of kill streaks that are really going to pound your opponent. Neither the Mantis nor the Thresher can be easily shot down by the rocket in the air. Thresher can't be touched. The Mantis, of course, is a ground kill streak. The counter UAV can be shot down pretty easily, but it helps me build into my kill streaks, and the stronger team that you have, the less likely the enemy team is to be able to safely shoot stuff down. In games that are very close, the enemy team can have one guy hang back and just shoot stuff down as it spawns, but in games like this that you're constantly being aggressed upon, it is harder to shoot stuff down, although the rocket in this game is very powerful and is not to be underestimated. Summit is a classic map. You're really not going to find any people who don't like this map. It's pretty much universally liked. Firebreak is very good on this, just like he is in firing range, because of course there are a lot of 2-story power positions. And similar to firing range, there's a lot of close positions where you can do stuff like this. Just go in with the flamethrower. And you can see here I'm doing the famous call all your shit in at the end of the game to just try to get points. With the flamethrower, it has a ton of ammo, so you want to aggressively use it there. You don't want to be frugal with it. And you always want to heal up there before you go into your firebreak equipment, your reactor core, because you want the health to be building as your reactor core gets to the danger zone. If you start to do it while you're low, then you run the risk of, as soon as you overheat, killing yourself by accident. I sort of gratuitously run in their spawn there at the end, a little bit far up to do that, but it was an intentional triple cap because it was so lopsided. Score there is 44-8. I talked a lot about the netcode, but I threw some other stuff in there at the end. Rate, comment, sub.